Hello, everyone. This is Ronnie. Thank you for coming back to Messy Moves. I'm going to share a story time with you guys today to give you a little bit more background about me, my story, and everything else like that. So, this is about just my journey with MS up until getting diagnosed, which I got diagnosed this year in November. I started not feeling good around 2019. Okay, so backtrack. 2019, my daughter is about one and about to be two. Her dad moved. We used to live together. He moved first. He is actually from Virginia. He has family there, things like that. So he moved first to go and try to like establish things so that when we got down there, it would just be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, pretty much. Did not work like that at all, but that's a different story time. So I get to Virginia. Once I'm like on my own feet and stuff like that, because it took me a little bit of time to get on my own feet and get my own apartment and stuff. So it's me and my daughter. We have a beautiful apartment. I'm chilling. I'm big chilling. I'm like, this is the best. Like, we made it, you know? It was such a struggle. Again, story for another time. So at this point, I'm feeling really good. I'm a licensed massage therapist, by the way, still am. So I was like, let me just jump into the job field, and I had my job going, and everything was going good. But I have always struggled with depression. I've struggled with it for as long as I can remember. Like, the story that I always tell people is when I had to be maybe 3 or 4. And I remember telling my parents that I was miserable. I couldn't, that was the only way that I best knew how to explain the feelings inside me. And their response to that was like, you don't even know what miserable is, girl. Like, anyways. And just kind of, which I can understand that because I'm a little baby. Like, what you know about misery, in comparison to being an adult and knowing all the things that I know now. But I've known sorrow. Hello, sorrow, my old friend. Like, I've known sorrow, okay? Since I was one of the earliest memories of sorrow for me. So, anyway, fast forward into me being in Virginia, having my career, having my place. Everything is in order, everything except for my depression and anxiety that I gained. That's also another story for another time of how I gained anxiety, because it was an event that took place that changed my life, changed my brain chemistry, and I was literally never the same after that. So I was like, let me be a responsible adult and try to go to therapy and get help and do the proper stuff so that I can overcome this and be the best person that I can be. So through that, I got in touch with a psychiatrist. I had already been doing like therapy before I moved, where you're just speaking to like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever. And to me at the time, it felt like it wasn't doing anything. I'm a private person, so even me being on YouTube and stuff like this is like a whole new revelation. But I was way more private even then. Like, I'm not trying to tell you none of my business. I'm not trying to have you judge me. I don't want to open up. I was that chick. But I did take the opportunity in speaking with my therapist to try to like give her everything that I knew that was affecting me in hopes that she would give me like some type of tools. And she would give me feedback of basically like, you're way too hard on yourself, this and this and that. But I didn't really feel like it was helpful. No disrespect to her, but I didn't know how to use what the information that she was giving me to stop or lessen the amount of anxiety and depression I was having. I just felt like I was talking to a girlfriend and with no solutions. It was just like, I'm telling you all my business and then we go our separate ways. Like, that's how I really felt at the time. So at this point, when I'm in Virginia, I'm like, well, maybe I need to get on some medication because it feels like nothing is working and I need to be productive. I'm a single mom. I got shit to do. I don't have time to be in the doldrums. You know what I mean? So I got in touch with a psychiatrist. They prescribed me Lexapro. Okay. I'm not a big medicine person, but at this point, I had to come to like, this had felt like this was my only option. I didn't read up on Lexapro, nothing like that. He's telling me all of the symptoms and things over the phone. He says one of the things that he mentions is like, as far as the side effects go, is serotonin syndrome. He's like, but don't worry about that. It's so rare, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't. I was like, okay, it's rare. That ain't gonna happen to me. That's where you go wrong. Don't ever think some shit's not gonna happen to you. So for me, I was on the medication. I don't even remember now. I took like maybe 2 or 3 doses of this medication and um, woke up one night and I was just like feeling this brain fogginess, like literally just almost like a tingly sensation in my brain, but also like a fog around my brain. I don't know how to better explain that. And as I'm just sitting, it feels like almost like when you wake up in the morning and you're groggy and you kind of like your brain takes a little bit to figure out like where you are, what's happening, what you're looking at, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, but on steroids. So that and all in the same night progressed into these movements. So my child's father was staying over for the weekend, okay? So I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm feeling this, and then all of a sudden every single muscle in my body starts firing off. And I'm gonna, I think, maybe try to insert a clip, or I'll make another video where you can kind of see a small portion of my hand of what it looks like for my muscles to fire off. But it's literally like piano keys. All of the muscle striations are moving like this, and I'm not controlling them. So my legs are going like this, my hamstrings, my calves, my quads, everything, my arms, everything is going off by itself. Okay, like the hands from fucking what's that movie? Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead, or whatever, and the hand be just, like the Addams Family hands, like that. But your whole body though. So I'm scared out of my mind. Like, I must be dying. Like, what is this? I was so scared. And I didn't have any control over my muscles anymore. Like, I could not make that stop from happening. I just had to sit there. And then as it continued to progress, as those muscle striations, I'm not just laying there. My legs and my arms are starting to jolt, like, in different directions without and making these exaggerated movements without me doing it. So my body is like, if possession is real, you know what I mean? I would say that that's the most similar thing, because it was like I was a passenger in my body that night, and for many nights thereafter. So that was my first incident with that, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I go to the hospital and I get diagnosed with serotonin syndrome. Okay. So I'm like, okay. Um, they don't really tell me, like, at the time, this is something that's supposed to go away. It's temporary, like, you'll be all right or whatever. Um, but what ended up happening is it never went away. So when I went to my follow-up appointment, because I went to the ER, so I booked an appointment with like a primary care so that they could try to figure out what was going on. At that time, I was still having the symptoms. I was still having these attacks, you know? And so the doctor there lets me know, like, this isn't serotonin syndrome, because serotonin syndrome resolves on its own. Um, so I get a referral for an MRI. The MRI isn't until a year out. Okay? And then 2020 hits. So everything is like shut down. Okay, and my symptoms kind of go a little bit more dormant. I get off the Lexapro or whatever, and my symptoms kind of go dormant for a while. I would have attacks like maybe once every couple of months, during the pandemic. Thank God, because it's like I wouldn't have been able to, if it was going that hard at that moment, I wouldn't have been able to do anything because the hospital, y'all know. So that was 2020 for me. 2021 comes around. um the the symptoms like start increasing more and changing and evolving. um and these were all signs of like what I would later be diagnosed with, but I had no idea at the time that that's what it was. So I was starting to like, when I would have these attacks, my body would go completely numb. So even though I'm like jolting and this and this and that, I would go from that type of moment to where my body is and my muscles are completely locked in place. So like, for example, my hands will go and they will make like a weird shape and be stuck like this. And my arms will be stuck and my legs will be stuck. And the numbness spreads. You can feel it spreading to every single part of your body. So when it gets to your tummy and your chest, you literally can't feel yourself breathing. And it actually feels like there's weight being put on top of you, you know? And so it feels like your breathing is no longer like subconscious. You go into manual, and if you don't do it right, you're gonna die. That's what it feels like. And the more you fuck up the breathing, excuse my language, the more you mess up the pattern of breathing, if you are not breathing well at all, the numbness gets more and more intense to the point of where you feel like you're about to pass out, you know? Or, I have passed out before. But okay, so I'm dealing with this. I'm still working at the time. And then still haven't been able to get into the, with the neurologist. I ended up moving back to New Mexico during this time. My kid's father stays in Virginia. So I moved back to New Mexico to try to like start all over again, find some place cheap. It was getting really expensive. My apartment was costing so much, like, you know? And for one person, as a massage therapist, also as a single mother, like as the primary parent, he would see her like on the weekends when we lived there, but I had her all during the week. And this is before she was at school or anything. So there's only a certain, like, my window of the time that I can work is like this big, because daycare is only this allotted time. And so, and massage is also very taxing and hard on your body. It's a very physical job, and it's not one that you can just like lapsy daisical your way through. You have to perform every single day. Every single massage needs to be perfect, and it needs to give the person who's paying for that what they need. You can't just be slapping backs and thinking that you're going to have clientele and thinking that you're going to get rebooked and stuff like that. And so it's not, and it's also not a 40-hour a week type of job anyways. If you're doing that, I did know some people who would do that, but it's extremely hard. And as a single mom, I couldn't do that if I wanted to, because I didn't have the time to do that. I had to, be with my child, and I wanted to be with my child, but most importantly, I had to, because there was nothing else, you know? So I've always been the one who's like made my schedule around her so that things would fit, and then her dad would just be able to do and work and whatever whatever. So times just got really, really hard. Like, once I moved back here, I moved in with my parents to like get back on my feet. because everything was so expensive. Like inflation and all that started happening during this time, and prices of stuff got redonkulous. Like I can't afford that, and most people couldn't. So during this time, my attacks went on overdrive because I'm doing massages. I'm doing like 5 days a week. I'm working as hard as I can, and I'm kind of already burnt out and already tired because I've been dealing with these symptoms. I don't know what's going on with me. All I know is that I never feel good. I'm always nauseous. I'm always have this anxious feeling. It's like I don't have the same strength in my massage as I used to. Um, if I worked for too long, I would be just like shaking in my massages and stuff like that. And I'm rambling, but I'm just trying to give y'all an idea of like um, what I was going through. And self love is a real thing because I'm somebody who's always had very low confidence and didn't have a lot of self love for myself throughout my whole life. And when you don't have a lot of self love, you don't take care of yourself the way you're supposed to. And I don't think that people really realize that. Like, you put on unnecessary burden, you want to carry everything. Oh, add on top of me being a people pleaser. So I was just always trying to do everything for everybody else to be okay, but not me, because I didn't find myself valuable enough to put that type of time and love and effort into me. Like, I literally saw myself as just non-valuable on this earth. Like, you know? So in that, I treated myself very harshly and put my body through a lot because it's like I didn't care about myself enough to not do that. And when I would have signs and symptoms, instead of me thinking to myself, well, maybe there's something bigger, or maybe you need to whatever, I was just like, the negative self-talk, like, you're just dumb, you're just weak, you need to get it together, you need to pull yourself together, like, why are you, like, I would literally think this to myself. Like, I was my own biggest hater. You could not hate on me more than I hated myself. And that led to, I think, the progression of things for sure. Because if you don't take care of yourself in this disease, it gets worse. It's going to get worse regardless, but especially if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And so I would have these moments. I started having these moments where I'm at the ER, I think, almost every other weekend from 2021 to now. The amounts that I had to go to the hospital just, ramped up in frequency, and I, wasn't able to like walk. Like, whenever I would have these attacks, my legs were super affected and I would not be able to walk correctly. I'd be limping. Like, it's very hard to like kind of picture what was going on, or for me to explain it so you guys can picture it, but yeah, it was just really hard to function. um I started getting these migraines almost every day, like weekly for sure, but almost every day, like debilitating migraines that just last and last day after day. It don't matter what medicine you take. And I'm not a person who could really take Excedrin. I don't know what's up with my body, but my body in general does not like heavy medications, and it does not respond like a regular, everyday person. Like, I had 2 epidurals and neither one of them worked. Okay, like, I just, in my soul and my body, the way the chemistry works, the math don't be mathin', okay? So, um, come 2023, okay, I'm dealing with stuff. I had opened my own massage practice, and I was working out of a building. We were sharing like a space with another massage therapist or whatever. So I was like contracting out of this building, okay? Um, it got so bad that I was canceling so much. I was unable to go to work. I didn't have no money because I never felt good. In doing massages, I would be like, I'm about to pass out. Like, it got so crazy. And I couldn't explain to anybody what it was. It just seemed like my work, can't talk, work ethic was shit, because it just seems like you always got something going on, and it, you know, to any person on the outside, it's like just making up a bunch of excuses, but that's not what it was. And I hated myself for that, because I also didn't understand what was going on with me. So I was mad. Um, so anyway, like for part 2 of this video, where I will continue explaining exactly what happened in 2023.